Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already we're live, and as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more UMG and Unreal Engine 5 using C++. That said, last stream I did go over UMG in Unreal Engine 3, and when I said C++, I actually meant Blueprint. So I'm going to be working, whatchamacallit. Last stream I worked on UMG using blueprints, but this stream I'm going to be working on UMG using C++ because apparently I worked like for a very long time last stream, but I did not really manage to implement the logic that I wanted to. So I actually kind of blame it on the blueprints, also because I did not have enough time to like learn the blueprints from scratch. So this stream I'm going to be trying doing it with C++. Hopefully it's going to work. That's let's go to my gameplay screen. There we go. And maybe I keep my water bottle somewhere down here, hydrate my lips real quick because I am pretty dehydrated. My lips are pretty dehydrated. And hold up guys, give me a sec. I think I opened the wrong stream on my phone. Okay, because I usually keep my stream open on my phone, so there we go. Okay, so I really like, there we go, let's do that. There. Okay, I keep my stream on my phone so I can actually see if it goes good and all that stuff. That said, I did create a brand new Gemini's chat, so let's say something like Sensei live exclamation. Okay, let's see, and then let me just close OBS real quick, get my chat up here, there we go. Okay, let's go, welcome everyone to the stream. The expert is anything that was once a beginner who refused to quit it, said by Helen Hayes. Listen to me, both you and everyone watching right now. Today is not just another stream, today is the day we conquer something that stumped us last stream. UMG did stump us last stream. Today's topic, UMG and Unreal Engine 5 using C++. What up guys, I think I need some water. Maybe, well, cause my, I'm like 2 minutes or like 3 minutes in the stream, can't let my throat be exhausted this quick. I think that I rushed my speaking. Okay, that's it. Before we touch the Visual Studio, you need to understand these fundamentals. So first we're going to be going over theory and then some practice. So chapter 1, what is UMG? UMG stands for Unreal Motion Graphics. It is Unreal Engine's UI framework. Think of it as the system that handles health bar, menu, score, inventory, any visual overlay on your screen. Okay. In Blueprints, you drag and drop. In C++, you control everything with code, and that's where real power is. Chapter 2, key classes. You must understand classes. I must know the user widget class, the text block class, the button class, the progress bar class, the image class, and the player controller. From all these, I know player controller very well. I know the progress bar, I know button, I know text block, I know image, and I have somewhat knowledge on the user widget. Have not used that as much though. Okay, chapter 3, the golden macros. These are Unreal specific and you must understand them. Property links your C++ variable to the widget's blueprint. Okay, so we go with property meta equals to bind widget. Text block, which is going to be represented by a pointer called my text. Okay. And the new function makes a function callable and bindable. I just go ahead and add a new function so my function can be registered inside of my Unreal Engine. And then I create a on button click function. And then generated underscore body. Never forget this. It generates Unreal's reflection code. I did not know what the generated underscore body meant till last stream, but I did actually know it. I do actually know it right now. Basically, what it really means is that the generate underscore body generates all the properties, functions, and gives it to Unreal Engine. Without that, I won't be able to have access to those things. Generate underscore body, never forget this. Chapter 4, the life cycle of a widget. This is critical, listen carefully. You create the widget class in C++, you create a blueprint class based on C++ class in Unreal Engine 5. You add your UI elements, text, buttons, etc. in the blueprint designer. C++ binds those elements using bind widget. You spawn the widget at runtime using create widgets template. Okay. You add it to the screen using add to viewport. Okay. This add to viewport function, I used to do this using like my blueprint level in my Unreal Engine's editor. That's this flow is everything. If you forget this flow, nothing works. Chapter 5, how binding works when you write this in C++. Property meta equals to bind widget, text block, which is going to be represented by a pointer called my text. Unreal will look inside your blueprint and search for a widget element with the exact same name. my text. If the name does not match, it will crash or not work. The name must be identical. I see. And guys, you guys watch that reel that's like, do not say T in your words. Don't say identical, say identical. Okay, chapter 6. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah. Okay, chapter 6. Native construct or constructs. This is your widgets' versions of begin play. This runs the moment your widget is created and added to the screen. We go with a virtual void native construct function, which is going to be overridden. We're going to give it permission to be overridden by any other functions. This is where you put your initialization logic. Now you know the theory. Was that it? Okay, let's build. Open Visual Studio 2022 right now. Here's our plan today. Create a new Unreal Engine 5 C++ blank project. Create a widget class extending your user widget. Create a button and a text and bind them in C++. Write the click logic entirely. Spawn the widget from player controller in C++. See it working at runtime. Tell me when your project is created in Open Visual Studio and we begin immediately. Let me say something like, I'm done creating and opening my project. I also... Okay, I guess let's go with a semicolon. I also created a user or a user widget says C++ file. Okay, and then let's go ahead and send it. While that's actually on it, I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go to something like file. In my file, I'm gonna go to new level and open my basic level. And then later I'm gonna go to my content drawer, hit save. Okay, actually since the save doesn't work just yet, I'm gonna try hitting save. There we go. This is gonna be my UMG map. Let's go with UMG map. And then let's just go ahead and hit something like save. Inside my map, I'm gonna go to tools, I'm gonna go to new class, I'm gonna go ahead and create a user widget C++ class. User widget, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and create this class. Let's go with something like next. I'm gonna go ahead and name it something like my UMG widget. Okay, let's see. Okay, for example, you name it something like my widget. Okay, tell me what is your Unreal files' name. Specifically, I need to know the name you gave your user widget class when you created it. For example, did you name it something like my widget, HUD widget, main widget? I'll go with something like HUD widget. Let me actually check something real quick. What does HUD mean? I mean, I know what it means, but I don't know what it stands for. So, in UE5. Okay, let me just go ahead. Let's see, don't show again. There we go. Head-up display in Unreal Engine 5. HUD stands for head-up display. It's used to display information to the player during gameplay, such as health score and other relevant stats. The HUD consists of two main components: user widget, which draws on screen. Okay, I guess we're going with HUD widget. HUD-WIDGET. This is going to be my HUD widget. Then let's create a class. And then let's go ahead and grab Claude back up here real quick and say something like, I named my class HUD-WIDGET. Okay, and then let's just go ahead and send it. Get my live coding up here, wait for it to compile completely. Okay, once it's done compiling, I'm gonna go ahead and reload all. And then let's remove my Unreal Engine configurations. And to my surprise, there isn't as much code here, but I was actually kind of ready for this. Okay, let's go up here. Perfect choice name. Now let's get to work. No more talking. Open your HUD widget.header files right now and replace everything with this. Blueprints. Okay, from blueprints I include my user widgets as header files, and just to be sure, I'm gonna go ahead and use this as a reference in my other window because that's what I usually do, so I can actually see the code and write it. Usually I do copy it at first to see if it really works and then work on learning it, but might as well. There we go. Give me a sec, guys. Getting it in my other window. There we go. Okay, for now, let's read the code real quick. And then I have a U class. I have the basic U properties, a virtual void, native construct, override function. Critical warning. Do this right now. Find this part in your code class, your name project, HUD widget. Replace your project with your actual project name. Name it in all caps. Of course, I'm not going to copy everything. Okay. There we go. Okay, so let's go to my header files first. Now, in my header files, I'm gonna go ahead and replace something. So, I have my Pragma one included. I have my user widgets header files included. For my widget, I have my HTTP widget.generated as header files as well. Okay. All I need is components slash text blocks as header files and components slash buttons as header files. I'm gonna include those before my generated. Hashtag include, excuse me guys, components, components components slash text block. Let's go with something like text block.h, which is my text blocks as header files. And then I'm gonna go with something like hashtag include. I wanna include something else from my components as well. I wanna include my buttons as header file. Let's go with button.h, and something has gone in my eyes. I think I have an eyelash stuck in my eyes. What up guys? Well, I guess I'm gonna be having an eyelash for the rest of the stream. Okay, that's it. In total, we need 5 headers. We do have 5 headers. Once I'm done with that, under my U class, my project, hi boy, how you doing? Tisber, is that I pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. I appreciate you joining the stream as well. Praneeth, is that I pronounce your name? Okay, that's it. Under my generated body, I'm gonna go ahead and let's say publicize everything. Guys, my eyes are killing me right now. There we go. Okay, let's go with something like public. Actually, there we not good, still nice. Okay, so for my public data members, firstly, I'm gonna go ahead and add a comment. I gotta include my text block. This will be displayed on my screen. So let's go with something like text block. Let's go with text block. And then I'm gonna add a, let's say a semicolon and say something like this will be displayed on our screen. Okay, there we go. And then once I'm done with the text block, I'm gonna go ahead and create a U property which requires a parameter. My parameter in this case is going to be something like meta, which equals to my bind widget. I'm going to go with something like my bind widgets as keyword. Let's go with something like widget. And here's the thing, is this actually a keyword? I got to go ahead and ask a lot about that. But before that, I'm going to go all the way down here and represent my U text blocks as, let's say, I think it's an unreal's keyword because it's not a structure. If it was a structure, it'd be prefixed with an F. Okay, but I think it's my unreal's keyword. I gotta ask Mr. Claude as well. I'm going to represent it by something like my text. This is going to be my text that's going to be displayed on my unreal's window, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to add another comment that says something like button. I'm going to go with button. Okay, let's go with something like button with a hyphen. This will be our clickable, clickable, clickable button. There we go. So this is going to be our clickable button where I'm going to go ahead and add a U property. And my U property, let's say, is going to be having something like a meta that is going to be equal to bind widget. I'm going to go with something like bind widget. And then let's go ahead and represent our, I'm assuming U button, right? Yeah, there we go. Our U button with a pointer called something like my button. This is going to be my button that is going to be displayed on my window. When I click, something is going to happen, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then once we're done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and create a function as well now, which will be a virtual function that is allowed to be overridden in, let's say, my C++ file. So I'm gonna go with something like a comment that says something like, this is the function, okay, that fires, okay, when button is clicked. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like a U function, all uppercase. There we go, with a pair of parentheses to invoke the function. And then I'm gonna go with something like a white function called, a virtual, vir. Okay, this is our begin play equivalent for widgets. Actually, I think I added the wrong comment. Let's go with something like, this is our begin play. Okay, let's go with something like begin play equivalent equivalent for widgets. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and create a virtual 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 white function called something like nativeconstruct. I gotta ask, why did we name our function this also? So there are like a few questions, but first let's see if it works. I'm gonna go with something like override, ending with a semicolon. And then let's say I'm gonna add another comment that says something like, this is the function that fires when button is clicked. clicked. I'm gonna go ahead and add another u function with a pair of parentheses. My u function is now going to be a white function called something like on my button clicked. Okay, so on my button clicked do something with a pair of parentheses to, let's say, call it a function ending with a semicolon. Okay, that said, I could potentially just copy the entire program, but I do kind of want to write it so I get some more experience. This is kind of risky because sometimes I do write the program, but then it doesn't, the code actually doesn't happen to work type stuff. Okay, that's it. Let's just go ahead and grab Claude back up here. Okay, I'm gonna say something like, let's say, maybe I just copy this as well. Okay, and then let's just go ahead and grab Claude here. S-E-N, say, I'm done, exclamation. Let's go with something like, I'm done. And then let's go with Shift Enter and paste this, and let's send it. Okay, and a really important thing, I'm going to hit Control S to save the code, because sometimes apparently a program is not saved, then you gotta write the entire program again. Okay, let me just go ahead and grab this back up here. Okay, good work. Your project name is UMG practice. Okay, let's scroll down here. Perfect, I can see everything is correct, but wait, one small mistake I got. Look at this line. Virtual void function, native construct, which is going to be overridden. Remove the u function macro from the native construct. Function is only, u function is only for functions you want Unreal's reflection system. Okay, for Unreal's reflection system to see, native construct is an override and does not need it. Should look like this. Okay, if I were to scroll all the way up here. Okay, it does not really have a u function. I see. Make that fix right now. It's a small thing, but small things compile to big problems. Good eyes on the stream. Okay, good eyes on the stream. If anyone caught that too, I see. Your final HUD widget should look exactly like this. Okay, well, I guess we're just having an extra function here. Let's hit Control S to save the code, get Claude here and say something like, done. Okay, let's see the next part. Okay, perfect, no hesitation, I love that. Now let's get into the C++ file. This is where we write the actual logic. Open your HUD widget.c++ file and replace everything with this. We already have our include header up there, but what else we need is a void HUD native construct. We're going to be declaring what we defined there. Always call the parents as native first. We got to go with super with a scope resolution operator of our native constructs function. Okay, check if my button exists and then bind the click event to our function. If my button does exist, my button points towards onClick.addDynamic. I have worked with this a few times before, which requires a few parameters of this and then the memory address of my UHUD widget, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards on my button clicks this function. I see. Okay. And then the next comment says set the default text when the widget first appears on the screen. I check if my text does exist. I go with something like my text, which points towards set text of ftext's structure that uses scope resolution operator to point towards from string. I want to display this text on my window. And then I go with something like a void function. I define the void on my button click function that I've declared in my header files. This fires when the button is clicked. If we are changing the text on the screen when the button is clicked, we're changing the text on the screen when the button is clicked. If my text, I go with something like my text that points towards set text, ftext from string text button was clicked. Let me explain every line. Let me explain what every line does so you actually understand it. Code what it means. Super native calls parent class. Okay, I guess let me just shrink it a bit so we can see the entire window. Okay, so the super native calls the parent class. Okay, so there we go. Class logic first, never skip this. My button, which points towards using an armark operator on clicks that uses the .addDynamic function binds our function to the button's click event. This refers to this widget's instance. That's pretty easy. And then the memory address of UHUD, which uses scope resolution operator to point towards on my button clicks this function. This exact function to call when clicked. Ftext from string converts regular string into Unreal's text format. I see. text unveils way of handling cross-platform strings. If my button always checks if the pointer exists before using it, never assumes. Golden rule 1, you and the stream need to remember forever. Always check your pointers before using them. Okay, well, I guess. My button points towards do something without checking. This is how you get crashes. I see. Okay, well, I guess let's just go ahead and work on this now. Okay, is that how you normally speak? Seems fake. If you do not reply to this, I consider it's fake. Honestly, it's actually not fake. This is how I usually speak. Okay, let's go to the C++ file. In the C++ file, I'm gonna go ahead and look at the reference file to really do this. So let's go all the way back here. There we go. Okay, so firstly, the thing that I'm going to be doing here is, let's say, I'm going to go ahead and define the void functions that I've declared in my header files. For example, I'm going to go with something like UHUD, let's say, widget, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards something like native NATIVE construct struct with a pair of parentheses and then a pair of curly braces. Now, here's the thing. In case I spelled it wrong, I'm going to copy this just to fix my typo and paste it there. That should fix my typo. And then I'm gonna add a comment that says something like call the parent class, call the parent of my U construct, call the parents. Okay, always call the parents' native constructs first. Call native constructs as parents first. Native constructs as parents first. Okay, for doing that, I'm going to go with something like super. Okay, let's go with something like super with a scope resolution operator that points towards my native constructs as function. And then I'm going to end that with a semicolon. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and add another comment that says something like check if my button exists. And if it does exist, bind the click event to our what? To our function. Okay, let's go with something like check if button exists. Okay, if it does, let's go with something like if it does, bind click event to our function. Okay, to do that, I'm gonna firstly go ahead and add a if statement to check something like my button. If my why did I go with A? If my button's pointer exists, then I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I want to go with something like my button that points towards on clicked dot the add tynamic the add dynamics as function. My button which points towards on clicked, if my button is clicked, dot the add dynamic. That requires a few parameters. I will require a parameter of this object. I want to get my widget says my widget that I'm using right now, I want to grab its instance. So that is basically what this means. And then I'm going to give the memory address of my AHUD or my UHUD. What is my class name? It's HUD widget. I see, there we go, it's UHUD widget, there we go. Because I'm used to using a actor, a character, because I usually use actors, characters, or pawns. This is like the second time I'm working with widgets. Okay, so let's go with something like widget, widget. So this is my HUD widget, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards something like on my button. There we go. Okay, and then do I require any other parameters? Pretty sure not. This has got to be my function. So let's grab my on button clicks as function and kind of paste it here. There we go. Okay, perfect. I think that's pretty much it. So my add dynamic requires a user object, which is this user object, and a function name, which is my on button click function, ending with a semicolon. Now, once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and let's say exit my if statement and add another if statement. My second if statement is going to set the default text when the widget first appears on the screen. So when my widget first appears on the screen, I want to set my text to be my default text. Okay, let's go with something like set the default text. Okay, when the widget first appears, appears appears on the screen. Okay, to do so, I'm firstly gonna go with something like an if statement and type something like my text. If my text does exist, then I want to go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go with something like my text, which points towards, let's say, something like my set text is function. Okay, my favorite gay streamer. Honestly, guys, favorite gay streamer is kind of crazy. I'm actually pretty straight. Okay, let's go with something like set text. Then I'm gonna require a few parameters. I'm gonna go with something like ftext, which uses scope resolution operator to point towards from string to, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add something like text. In this case, my text is, let's say, gonna go ahead and be something like press the button. Let's go with something like press the button! Exclamation. Okay, perfect. I think that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and add another function now. I'm gonna go ahead and define the other function that I've declared. This is gonna be my on button clicks function. So let's go with something like void. Just to save some time, I might copy this because it's so hard. It's like a tongue twister for my fingers to actually type this out, the UHUD widget. It's not that hard, to be honest. Although I'm going to use a scope resolution operator to point towards my on button clicks function with a pair of parentheses to invoke the function, then a pair of curly braces. Now, this function fires when the button is clicked. We are changing the text on the screen when the button is clicked. Okay, let's add a comment. This function fires, function, fires when the button is clicked. There we go. And we are changing the text on the screen when the button is clicked. We are changing, or let's go with something like we will be changing the text that appears on the screen when the, let's go with something like another comment, button is clicked. CLICKED. There we go, ending with a I don't think full stop is necessary here. I might copy the when as well because it's too big here. Let's paste it. There we go. Okay, now once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go here and add a if statement to check if my text exists. If and only if my text exists, I'm gonna go ahead and do something. I'm gonna go with something like my text, that which points towards set text. I'm gonna set a whole different text right now. That is going to be requiring a ftext, which uses a scope resolution operator to point towards from string that requires a parameter of my text, where my text is going to say something like button was clicked. CLICKED. There we go, exclamation. And then let's just go ahead and end this with a semicolon. And that's about it. I'm going to hit Control S to save the code now. Let's go ahead and grab Claude up here. There we go. Let's paste it, maybe go with something like a little zoom out, and say something like, let's say, done, exclamation. Okay, let's see. Maybe I zoom in a little more. Okay, excellent, clean code, good comments, no mistakes, I'm impressed. Successfully sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out, said by Robert Coyler. That said, we need one more C++ file, the player controller. Finally, I was wondering whether we're actually going to be using the player controller, because I did hear that we do need to use it, but I didn't know actually when. This is what will actually spawn your widget onto the screen at runtime. Go to Unreal Engine right now and do the following. Click the tools in the top menu, click new, search player controller, select player controller, name it exactly my player controller, click create class. Why do we need a player controller? Think of it this way, player controller equals to the manager of everything the player sees and does, widget equals to the employee that does its job on the screen. The manager is responsible for hiring, which is basically spawning the employee widget. I see. Without the player controller telling the widget to appear, nothing shows on the screen. Tell me when the Visual Studio has opened your player controllers as header files and .c++ files. Okay, well, I guess let's open my Unreal Engine. Let's go to something like tools. In my tools, I'm gonna go with classes, go to all classes, search something like my player controller. There. Let's do something like next. Name it exactly what again? Name it exactly my player controller. My player controller. Okay, I guess let's just go ahead and create a class now. Let's wait for it to add to the class. While it's adding, I might drink some water. I'm really thirsty. Alright up guys, let me just kind of drink water real quick. There we go. Okay, so it's compiling changes. Let's go ahead and reload everything. Let's go with reload all. Okay, we got our header files and C++ file, which not surprisingly has really less code in it. That's a good thing. Okay, let's grab Claude back up here and say something like done creating it. Since okay, let's see. I don't know what's up with all those extra exclamations that I keep sending. Perfect, fast execution. That is what I like to see. Open your My Player controllers and header files right now and replace everything with this. Fill out your copyright, blah blah blah. Okay, so we need core minimal. Let me just refresh it, okay? And then we need to include game frameworks, header files. Okay, so firstly, under our generated body, we need to publicalize everything. This is the reference to our widget class. We will assign this in our blueprints later, okay? So we go with the subclass of, which I have worked with. We store a certain thing inside of our t-subclass offsys widget and we can go ahead and use it whenever we want later on. uProperty, uWidget HUD, and then what begin play. Let me explain the new things. Code, what it means. T-subclass offsys template, which requires UHD widget in it, holds a reference to the widget class itself, not an instance. Edit anywhere lets you assign the widget class from the Unreal's editor. Okay, blueprint read write, let's blueprint read and write value. Category equals to HUD, organize it under HUD in the editor details panel. Okay, HUD widget, which is represented by a pointer called HUD widget instance. This is the actual widget that appears on the screen. Begin play, this is where we will spawn the game. Okay. Well, I guess let's just go ahead and write that. So I'm going to go to my header files real quick. Maybe zoom out a bit. Take a good look at the reference. There we go. Okay, so firstly, we're going to be needing a few headers. We have our core minimal. We have our game framework. We're going to be needing HUD widgets as header files. So I'm going to go with something like hashtag include HUD widget dot h. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and let's say go under my generated body and publicalize everything. Under my public data members, okay, this is the reference to our widget class. We will assign this in our blueprints later. This holds the reference reference to our widgets class. We will assign it to our blueprint later. There we go. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and firstly add a uProperty. Okay, which is gonna be requiring, let's say, 3 parameters. First parameter is gonna be edit anywhere. I want to be able to edit in my blueprint or in my editor. And then it's going to be blueprint read write. So let's go with read write, because I did add a comment here that says we will assign it to our blueprint later. So our blueprint is not only going to be able to read it, but also write it to like manipulate it. And then later on, I'm going to go with something like a category and categorize it in a category called something like HUD. I forgot the meaning again. I think HUD means heads, Unreal. I forgot. I'll actually fact check that later. But then I'm going to go ahead and use the t-subclass offsys template. Let's go with something like t-subclass offsys template, which has a prof ankle braces. Inside the prof ankle braces, I'm going to go ahead and require or add the parameter of the class that I want to go ahead and store in here, or the kind of objects instance that I want to store, which in this case is going to be my UHUD widget. So I'm going to go with UHUD widget. Okay, perfect. And then, how was I able to use it? Oh, okay, I was like, how was I able to use it? Because I included it as header files. I see, and then I'm just going to go ahead and represent it by a pointer. Actually, represented by a local variable called something like HUD widget class, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I gotta add another comment. This is the actual instance of our widget. This is what gets spawned in the game. Okay, let's add a comment. actual instance of our widget. This will be spawned spawned in our game. Okay, so firstly I'm gonna go with something like a U property, and then under my U property I'm gonna be having something like a UHUD widget, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like HUD widget instance. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Under my semicolon, I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like, this is where we spawn the widget. This is where we spawn SPAWN, spawn the widget. The place where we spawn the widget is going to be my virtual virtual my virtual void begin play function, which is already built for us or given to us by our let's say Unreal Engine. Okay, which is going to be override OVERIDE. I mean, I won't practically say it's given to us because we technically need to add some kind of content for this function inside our C++ file that we don't really have here, but okay, it's given to us in the character and actor class, even the pawn class. Let's go with something like override, ending with a semicolon. There we go. Okay, and then why do I have it red underline here? I'm assuming it's just my Visual Studio kind of bugging. Virtual void begin play override. Okay, it was my Unreal Engine just kind of bugging. Now let's go ahead and get Claude back up here, paste this and say something like done. So say, okay, let's see. Outstanding, clean and fast. You're on the right. Okay, you're on fire right now. Now open your My Player Controller C++ and replace everything with this. Okay, let's just go ahead and refresh. Okay, I gotta go ahead and add some kind of content from my begin play. Always call the parents' begin play first. Always call the parents' begin play first. I think it should be phrased as always call the begin plays' parents first. Check if the widget class has been assigned in the editor. Okay, create the widget. Check if the widget was created successfully. Add the widget to the screen. Okay, pointer check rule again. HUD widget, I see. Okay, so let's go to the C++ file. Now in my C++ file, even though I'm not going to be needing any kind of header files beside my player controller, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a white function, which is going to be from my player controller, PLAYERCONTROLLER. If you guys don't know why I wrote it, why I prefixed my player controllers as class within A, you guys could go to my player controller and see exactly what's written here. That's the exact thing, that's my class's name, A player controller, which uses the scope resolution operator to point towards my begin play. And I might have a typo there. I'm gonna go ahead and just copy that, get that here, paste that here. To avoid typos. Okay, my begin plays function does not require any parameters, but I'm gonna go with the pair of curly braces. In my curly braces, I'm gonna go with something like call begin play functions as parents first. So I'm gonna go with something like super. Okay, scope resolution operator, begin play. Super grabs their parents and gets in here, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add another comment to check if our widget class has been assigned in the editor. Check if our widget class has been assigned in the editor. The editor, EDITOR. Okay, so if our widget class has been assigned in the editor, I'm gonna go ahead and add something like if my HUD. Let's go with something like widget. It's so hard to type these names out because it's more like a tongue twister with your finger. Should I call it something like a finger twister? Much easier to copy it. And then a pair of curly braces. My content in this is going to be create the widgets' instance. Okay, so let's add a comment that says something like create widgets as instance INSTANCE. There we go. For creating my widgets as instance, I'm gonna go with something like HUD widget instance. Let's paste this here. INSTANCE instance. There we go. This is the class that or this is the pointer that I've had it represent here. I'm gonna go with something like widgets as an instance is gonna be equal to the create widgets as template, which requires a parameter of my UHUDWIDGET. UHUD widgets as class. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a pair of parentheses and fill in a few parameters. First parameter is gonna be this. Second parameter is gonna be my class. UHUD widget class. This is gonna be the object that's stored or the instance of my widget that's stored. There we go. Let's copy my my HUD class and then let's just go ahead and paste it here. There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with this, let's go all the way back here. Check if the widget was created successfully. To do so, I'm gonna firstly, let's say, oh, I'm still inside my if statement. Check if the widget was created successfully. If my widget was created successfully, I'm gonna go with something like if a pair of parentheses HUD widget. Oh, I gotta copy this. It's so hard to type these out. And then let's go with a pair of curly braces. I'm gonna go ahead and add the widget widget to the screen. If my widget was created successfully, I'm going to add it to my screen. I'm going to go with something like HUD widget instance, which is going to be pointing towards add to viewports this function. Okay, this part was actually kind of easy, add to viewport type stuff. I'm going to go with Control-A, Control-C, copy that. Let's go ahead and grab in here, paste this here. Okay, and then say something like, say, done, exclamation. Okay, let's see. So I'm positive we're almost done with everything. I think the last thing that we do gotta do is like go ahead and add a few adjustments for our blueprints or just compile the code. Absolutely perfect. Not a single mistake. Your code is clean, your comments are clean, and you understood every single line. It's not about being the best, it's about being better than you were yesterday, set by unknown. Okay, now we compile. Here's what to do in Visual Studio 2022. Press Ctrl-Shift-B to build. Wait for build succeeded in the output window. Tell me what the output says. If you get errors, don't panic. If you get warnings, okay, I mean, here's the thing. I could go with Ctrl-Shift-B. That's fine. Let's go with Ctrl-Shift-B. Usually, I like to compile through my Unreal Engine by hitting Ctrl-Alt-F11. Like, if I hit Ctrl-Alt-F11 here, it compiles as well, but it's the same thing. Okay, I feel it's potentially faster in Unreal Engine compared to Visual Studio. But I'm gonna drink some water real quick because I'm kind of thirsty. Did it say one failed? Nuh-uh. Ctrl-Alt-F11. Let's compile it in my Unreal Engine. Oh, wow. Syntax error. Okay, I had a tiny syntax error. So in my player controller 33, so line 33 syntax error, missing semicolon. My controller's header files, line 33, missing a syntax. So I have a syntax error. Override and then I ended with a semicolon. There, I guess I hit Control S to save the code. Now let's go ahead and try compiling again. Ctrl-Alt-F11 real quick. Okay, there we go. Result succeeded. Gave me a scare for a bit. Okay, now let's go ahead and open Plot back up here and say something like, say the result succeeded. And here's one tiny issue when it comes to like AIs and all that stuff. Plot did say it was correct when I sent my reference code. Had a tiny mistake, small mistakes. You do gotta know what you're actually doing to actually figure it out type stuff. That's it, let's go! This is what we came here for, build succeeded. Now, we need to go into Unreal Engine. This is where we bring all to life. Step 1, create a widget blueprint. Unreal Engine, go to your content browser, right click. Content browser, select user interface, select widget blueprint. When it asks for parents, search for HUD widget. Select HUD widget as the parent class, name it WBP_HUD widget, double click to open. Well, I guess let's go ahead and grab my Unreal Engine here real quick, okay? And now let's do everything. I'm gonna go to my content drawer. In my content drawer, I'm gonna go under content, right click, add a new folder. I'm gonna call it UI. Not important, but I like to organize my stuff. Okay, now go to your content browser, right click the content browser, select user interface. User interface, right here. Select widget blueprint, widget blueprint. Okay, search for HUD widget. Okay, search for HUD widget. There we go, and then I'm gonna go ahead and select HUD widget as the parent class and name it WBP underscore HUD widget. WBP underscore HUD widget. WIDGET. Double click to open it. Okay, I guess let's get Claude back up here and say something like done opening the WBP underscore HUD widget. Okay, and then let's send it. Perfect, now this is a crucial part. Step 2, add your UI elements. Remember this rule from earlier, name of your UI element in the blueprint must match exactly the same name in your C++. C++ code said you text block my text, you button my button. Therefore, in the blueprint, text block must be named my text, button must be named my button. One wrong letter, nothing works. Here's what to do right now. Add the button on the left side, find the palette panel, search for buttons, drag it on the canvas. On top of the on the top right and details panel, find the field name, rename it exactly to my button, adding the basic stuff, doing all that things. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. I do see my palette here. Let's read the instructions. Step 2. On the left side, find the palette panel, search for button, drag it on the canvas. So I'm gonna go ahead and find my canvas. Do you guys see canvas? Well, we don't have a canvas. These are the tiny mistakes that I keep telling you guys about. Like, AI does make a lot of these mistakes. Let's drag my button in here. Maybe zoom in a little. There we go. On the top right of the details panel, rename it. So in my details panel, right here, rename it exactly to my button. I'm gonna go with something like my button. My button. There we go. Adding the text block, go back to the palette, search for text, drag the text, name it exactly my text. Text, drag my text onto the canvas. Name it something like my text. My text. There. Okay, and then double check both names, my button, my text. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and grab Claude here and say something like done, exclamation. Okay, let's see. Good, now we set up the player controller blueprint. Step 3, create the player controller blueprint in Unreal Engine content browser. Right click the content browser, select blueprint, search for my player controller, select my player controller as parent class, name it BP underscore my controller. Okay, I guess we're going like one tiny bitty step at a time. Fine, I guess we compile it. I'm gonna go to something like content browser. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna go with something like blueprint class. In my blueprint class, I'm gonna go ahead and search for my player controller. There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and hit something like next and name it something like blueprint underscore my player controller. There, did I name it correct? I don't think so. BP underscore my player controller. There we go. And then double click to open. Then let's just go ahead and grab Claude and say something like done. Okay, why prefix? Naming conventions keep your project clean. BP blueprint, WBP widget blueprint. I see. Perfect. Step 4, assign the widget class. Okay, so inside BP, look at the details panel on the left. There we go. Let's keep the instructions open. Find your category HUD. You'll see a variable HUD class. Double click to open the drop down. Select HUD. Select, hit compile, save. Well, let's open Unreal Engine, I guess. In Unreal Engine, I'm gonna go ahead and look to the details panel. I see details panel here. Find HUD. This is the category that I did create. HUD. There, and then you will see a variable called HUD widget class. Okay. Click the drop down next to it, search for WBP underscore HUD widget. There we go. Hit compile and save. Okay, and then that's about it. Okay, why are we doing this? Remember this? This is exactly what I was telling you guys about the category that we created. Let me say something like done. Okay, let's see. Perfect. Step 5. Final step. Select the player controller in the game in Unreal Engine. Go to the top menu bar. Click Edit. Select Project Settings. Okay. On the left, find Maps and Modules. Find Default Section. Default Pawn Class. Wait, actually do this instead. Right click in Content Browser. Okay, using a custom method is the correct way. Here is the proper method. Okay, I guess let's do it the proper way. Go to Edit, Project Settings, Maps and Models, find Default Game Mode, set it to BP underscore game mode, okay. So, I'm assuming we need to be in Content Browser. Go to Edit. Do you guys see Edit anywhere? Edit. Okay, go to Edit. There we go. And then Project Settings. There we go. Maps and Models. Maps and Models. Let me know if you guys see it here. Maps and Models. Is it just me, or is there no maps and models here? Fine, I guess let's go with Control F. We can use Control F apparently. Control F. Nope. Okay, maps and models. Can't find it here. It's supposed to be here. Project settings. Oh, maps and models right there. Okay, and then default game mode, set it to be BP underscore game mode. I do not see a BP underscore game mode. BP. Nope. Default game mode, BP underscore game mode. Okay, let me say something like, let's say I do not see a BP underscore game mode. Okay, let's see. Don't panic, we just need to create it. Create BP underscore game mode right now in Unreal Engine content browser. Right click the content browser, okay, and then select blueprint class. A pop-up will appear, search for game mode base. Okay, I guess let's go and open Unreal Engine. Let's go to the content drawer. Right click and then, okay, right click content drawer, select blueprint class. Let's go with blueprint class, and then I gotta go ahead and search for game mode base. Okay, there we go. I see a game mode base. Select game mode base. Name it exactly BP underscore game mode. Okay, and then double click to open. Alright, perfect. If you cannot find game mode base, tell me exactly where you are, what you see, describe what you see, the pop down. Let's say something like, I created a game mode bases blueprint class. Okay, so I'm done creating that. Let's see the next thing. Perfect. Step 1, assign it. Look at the details of this panel. Fine. Okay, assign our player controller in BP underscore game mode. Okay, so find player controller, click the drop down next to it, search for BP underscore my controller, select it, hit compile save. Okay, so firstly I gotta go to the details of this panel, which is gonna be right here, and then find player controller class. Does that say player controller class? Player controller class, okay, I see. Click the drop down and then select BP underscore my player controller. There. Okay, and then select it, hit compile and save. That's about it. Let's go here and say something like done. Okay, let's see what's up next. Step 2, set BP as default in Unreal Engine. Go to edit top menu, click project settings, maps and models. Okay, I'm already here. Default drop down, BP underscore game, select close project settings. Okay, the most basic thing up here again. I'm up here. Let's There we go. Okay, and then adjust that to close project settings. Okay, well done. Let me just go here and say something like done. Okay, this is not that hard, it's just tedious. Now hit play button, press Alt plus P, play what you see, game starts. Okay, I guess let's try it. Before I try it, I'm going to hit Control F11 to compile it one more time to see it, till I wrap up all the compilations and just make sure everything is compiled. It's compiled, it's compiled, it's compiled. Result succeeded, and let's play. I see, press the button. Button was clicked, okay, it does work. However, I want to make it look a little bit better. Let's go here, maybe there, maybe there. I think here is good. I'm gonna go ahead and delete my text block. I'm gonna go ahead and add a text inside here. Name it something like my text. There we go. Honestly, actually, I think this looks kind of bad. I think the old one looked better. I just need to change this position. Let's get it right here. And I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to something like image. Howard, press, normal image. I'm gonna go. I mean, I don't have the image that I added. I think this is fine for now because I don't really have a specific image that I added. Press button was clicked. Okay, perfect. Finally, I spent so much time last stream trying to do it using just blueprints. Programming it was much easier. Let me go here and say something like, let's say it works exclamation. I spent so much time last stream trying to figure how to do this using only nodes. Although this was so much easier, however, I just need more practice. Okay, let's go with something like more practice, practice. Although I will be practicing more tomorrow because I do have an exam tomorrow, so I need to end the stream and work on that. That said, next stream when I tell you, let's say I'm live, let's go with something like, let's go with something like I'm live, exclamation. Can we continue adding CONTINUE, continue adding a bunch more UMGs and giving them, let's say, some kind of logic similar to text first, just for practice, and step it up as I tell you that I'm getting better with it. Okay, let's just go ahead and send this real quick. Is this Claude? Honestly, yeah, it is Claude. Wait, it works. Of course it works. We wrote clean code, we followed every step, and we did not give up. That is why it works. Success is not final, failure is not fatal, is the courage that actually counts, said by Winston Churchill. I'm genuinely proud of you today, although I did not really work much on this type of stuff. Okay, you came in with unfinished business from last stream, and you left the working product, and you left with a working product. These streams saw every single step, and now they know what the real deal is. Okay, what we accomplished today: create user widget C++, class bound UI elements using blueprints, written button click logics in pure C++, created a blueprint player controller in C++, spawned widget at runtime using create widget, set up game mode, pipeline correctly, saw it all work. For next stream, here is our plan. Multiple text blocks with different logics, okay, progress bars with dynamic values, multiple buttons with different functions, countdown timer on screen. Tell me when you're ready. Okay, that said, let me just go ahead and go to OBS and go to my main camera. Alright guys, so basically that was going to be pretty much it for the stream. I would have streamed for longer, but I do got like a quiz tomorrow and on college, so I do got to kind of study for that. I haven't even started studying that till now. That said, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like, helps my algorithm, share, make this fun, subscribing like a chair on top. That said, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well if I did meet the followers requirement. So if you guys do enjoy my content and follow me there, make sure to follow me there. The link is going to be in the description. And also join my Discord server. That's where I usually talk to you guys, chat with you guys, have general conversations. You guys can get access to my socials on my Discord server through the link in the bio, link in the description, or by typing !social in chat to get my socials link or exclamation Discord on chat to get a link for my Discord server. That said, I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace. And also when I say type exclamation social, many of you guys literally type social. It's exclamation socials, SOCIALS. That's it, let's end the stream.